1889 Lojía Revolution was chartered under the auspices of Grand Orient Español in Barcelona, Spain by Filipino nationalist Graciano Lopez Jaena. The council was approved by the Grand Master Moraita, Lodge Charter was received, and Lojía Revolution was installed on 1889. Graciano Lopez Jaena became the master of Lojía Revolution with Mariano Ponce as a secretary. Marcelo H. del Pilar was also member of this lodge. Lopez Jaena was the first editor of La Solidaridad, the mouthpiece of propaganda movement. 1890, Lojía Solidaridad No. 53 was chartered under the auspices of Grand Orient Español in Barcelona, Spain. Approved by the council, Lodge Charter was received and Lojía Solidaridad was installed on 1890. Moraita's friendship with Filipino expatriates led to the organization of the predominantly Filipino Lodge Lojía Revolution. When it dissolved, Lojía Solidaridad became the Lodge of Filipino Mason in Spain. 1890, Rizal was made a Master Mason on November 15, 1890 at Lojía Solidaridad No. 53 under the auspices of Grand Orient Español. He affiliated with a lodge under jurisdiction of Grand Orient of France on October 14, 1891. In the same year, Marcelo del Pilar and Jose Rizal initiated plans to establish Filipino lodges in the Philippines under the Grand Orient Español. March 10, 1892, Nilad Lodge No. 144 was chartered under the auspices of Grand Orient Español. Del Pilar secured authority to establish lodges in the Philippines from the Supreme Council of Grand Orient Español. The task of carrying out the plan fell to Pedro Serrano Lactao, together with Jose Anacleto Ramos, Timoteo Paez, and Moises Salvador. They initiated 3 new members and founded Lojía Nilad in Manila on January 6, 1892. They applied for affiliation with the Grand Orient Español and approved by the council. Lodge charter was received and Nilad Lodge No. 144 was installed on March 10, 1892. In July 1892, after his return to the Philippines, Jose Rizal was appointed as a honorary worshipful master of Nilad. Rizal's popularity prompted lodge like Balagtas and Bathala to honor him with a banquet when he arrived. January 18, 1917, Grand Master Miguel Moraita died. The last letter from Moraita to Calao was dated December 21, 1916. The letter revealed Moraita's deep sentiments and his mistrust of the Americans. He reaffirmed the regularity and legality of Regional Grand Lodge of the Philippines, even as he reported that its reorganizational plan was already under consideration of the Supreme Council of the Order. On January 24, 1917, the Filipino received news of the death of Moraita. The last tie that united them with the Grand Orient Español had been cut. Calao decided to give up the ghost. As he put it, after the death of Moraita, the only one who had always shown interest in the Philippines, the only man in Spain for whom Filipino Mason felt profound veneration and respect. The lodges considered themselves free to separate from the Spanish obedience. With Masonic unity in mind, after the fusion of affiliation in 1917, the Regional Grand Lodge of the Grand Orient Español and all its lodges in the Philippines went dark. Their individual demits and lodge charter were returned to Spain with corresponding fees paid by Regional Grand Master T.M. Calao. The same lodges with the same affiliated members were then reconstituted under Grand Lodge of Philippine Island and renumbered. This means after 1917, there were no longer any Spanish lodges in the Philippines outside the Grand Lodge of Philippine Island, and there was a period of peace and unity. 1925, the charter issued to Soberana and gave in authority to form a Grand Lodge within Spanish colonies under the Spanish Supreme Council. In 1925, the Philippines was no longer a Spanish colony but an American protectorate. Despite the perceived independence granted to them, they were still under the Spanish Supreme Council, therefore not totally independent. Their authority to form a Supreme Council for the Philippines independent of Spain came much later in the 1940s. With Masonic unity in mind, after the fusion of affiliation in 1917, the Regional Grand Lodge of the Grand Orient Español and all its lodges in the Philippines went dark. Their individual demits and lodge charter were returned to Spain with corresponding fees paid by Regional Grand Master T.M. Calao. The same lodges with the same affiliated members were then reconstituted under Grand Lodge of Philippine Island and renumbered. This means after 1917, there were no longer any Spanish lodges in the Philippines outside the Grand Lodge of Philippine Island, and there was a period of peace and unity.